Hey, it's Johara. Welcome back to my channel, to Johara Loves TV. So, I'm going to do, as I mentioned, I'm doing this Vlogoween for both my channels. So, if you like books, go visit my other channel at The Witchy Reader, and I talk all about books and my books as well, because I'm an author. If you do not know that yet, if you're new to my channel, but um, so. Vlogoween, as I mentioned, is I'm just gonna post one video every day of this month, and not all of them will be Halloween themed, but a lot of them will be. So, yeah. Um, this one is Halloween themed. It is top 10 Halloween themed Disney Channel episodes. Tomorrow I'll be posting top 10 Halloween themed or Halloween episodes, and those will be like more like adult shows. Because I still like Disney Channel, but that one will include mm, shows that are a bit more mature than Disney Channel. So yeah, but let's get started in the list, shall we? Number 10, I have Scary Had a Little Lamb from Good Luck Charlie. So some of these episodes I had to rewatch because it has been a while, and I had to kind of rewatch them for my research to film this video because otherwise I wouldn't have I wouldn't be able to actually describe it. But this one I remembered the ending mostly. I totally forgot about the whole PJ Goth storyline in the episode, but PJ had met a girl. He dressed up as a goth for Halloween, or at least that's what his family thought was for Halloween. Apparently the mustache part was for Halloween because he had started dating this goth girl who, when you first introduced to her, she's like has blonde hair and cheerful colors because apparently that's how her sister dresses. But then the day after Halloween, she comes by and you find out that uh, she's a goth, and that explains why PJ is all of a sudden being a goth. But the only storyline I really cared about was the one with because there's like three different storylines in the episode. I think the one with PJ, the one with the parents. Well, the parents and PJ's were kind of coincided since PJ's mom meddled in his relationship at the end. But the only storyline I really cared about was I heard loud noises. Um, the one with Teddy and Ivy. Um, because there was this jerk that ended up ruining Teddy's costume uh, for Halloween, and so she wanted to get revenge on him, but she's not good at that stuff. So Ivy came up with the plan and she just had to kind of enable the plan. Um, but honestly, it's it's a good episode. But the reason why it's so far back on the list is because the only really scary part of the episode is the very end when Teddy and Ivy pulled a prank on that guy. But it was good and I laughed and liked it, so that made it part of the list instead of honorable mentions. But uh, basically, Ivy asked that guy to come over. I forgot what his name was now. I just watched the episode earlier today and I forgot what his name was. But every time I see him, the only thing I think of is Lucas from Pretty Little Liars because it's the same actor. Um, but Ivy asked him to come over and acts all scared about Teddy, saying how she's actually really scary. He wasn't buying it, and then she goes in the kitchen to talk to Teddy, and then all of a sudden she's screaming, and Teddy's yelling at her, and then Ivy runs out with because her Halloween costume was like a bloody butcher on her back, so uh they did that again, and she ran out and then collapses and he gets all scared and then she comes out with her hair crazy and the Bo Peep staff, and she's breaking lamps, which her parents would not be happy about the next day probably. But uh, and then she looks like she's about to beat him, and he kind of runs out, and it was hilarious. But yeah, that was Scary Had a Little Lamb. Number 9 is Spooky from Lilo and Stitch the series. I've never actually finished the series. I had started it earlier this year, never finished it. I do plan on eventually, but I had gone to this episode. I got a little bit further than this episode, but I only watched it once. Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. So, anyways, what was it? Oh yeah, Spooky. So, Spooky. So I never finished the show, and I did get a little bit past this episode, but I only watched it once, so I didn't really remember that much. I just remembered enjoying it, and I remembered that I remember what his what's the my mind's making a blank. The experiment. That's the word I was looking for. The experiment. um, what that it transforms into your greatest fear, which I always considered, like the best horror villain is Freddy Krueger because he goes into your nightmares, and the best demon of Charmed is Barbas because he uses your worst fears against you, which is scary all in its own to be able to, because they're your worst fears. What could be scarier than someone that can actually make that true, make it happen? The episode itself wasn't the scariest. That's why it isn't further up, but the fact that he can manipulate your fears and use them against you is a scary thing, especially for a children's show. So I thought it deserved a number on this list, definitely. And so like it showed it a few times. He was able to scare the kids at the Halloween party. Um, he scared Myrtle and the cheerleader. Why did I say cheerleaders? The mean kids. Myrtle's friends, whatever. But he scared them by being Leo. Leo. Oh my gosh. Lilo. I can't speak today. Um. uh. And which I found funny, but they ended up going to this haunted house, which Lilo's afraid of, and to find it and track it, and it went after all of their greatest fears. Stitch was able to overcome his fear by singing the song Lilo had shown him earlier in the episode that she sings to help her through her fears, and because of it he was able to save Lilo because she kind of got into a compromising position. She was like hanging from the roof or something. But yeah, but they were able to trap it, and then end up helping Nani have the scariest haunted house by using it to scare the kids with their greatest fears, and found an all year round haunted house for him to stay at to find his perfect place, since that's what the entire series is about, finding each experiment's their perfect place so that they have a place in the world. But yeah, so I kind of enjoyed that episode. It's my favorite from that show so far, and I will eventually finish it maybe. Number 8 is The Ghost and Mr. Martin from Sweet Life on Deck. This episode I like, obviously not the one from, it's not better than the one from Sweet Life Zach Cody, which we will get there when we get there. But this one, the Tipton boat, whatever, is passing by a shipwreck, or not shipwreck, but like something like that. And there was this whole legend about how the captain has accidentally misread his compass because he was too worried about going home to propose to Lady Belle, and he ended up sinking the ship. And but the ghost started haunting Zach, and because apparently that wasn't true. So Cody and Woody, that's his name. I'm just having a bunch of brain farts today. um, but Cody and Woody decided to stay with him and have a videotape so that they could see it. And I like how they kind of mentioned what happened at the Tipton Hotel, because Zach was like, "We saw that woman coming out of that painting," and he was like, Cody was like, "We were 12-year-old boys. We saw women coming out of everything." But that's Cody trying to put it to logic. Which is funny because I was just watching Riverdale, which has Cole Sprouse. But anyways, and then something weird happened, and they all came up at the same time in the middle of the night and said innocent. So they ended up uh investigating, and they found out that there was one survivor in the shipwreck, and that one person had, which was I think the captain's first mate, and he was also proposed to Jessie Bell um, right after they docked, uh, because apparently he was in love with the captain's girl, and so he ended up tampering with the compass to make it so that it looked like it was his fault. So for all these years, everyone thought it was the captain's fault, when in reality, this guy had intentionally murdered his friends to propose to this girl, who ended up saying no anyways, because the only person she will ever love is that one guy, which she never got over his death. But then at the end, it showed him reuniting with Jessie Bell and going off to the afterlife, yeah, so that was really sweet. But yeah. Um, Number 7 is Haunted Up from Shake It Up. Uh, this episode wasn't the scariest until the end, like Scary Had a Little Lamb, but it was intriguing. There's kind of two different storylines, but at the end they overlapped, which was Rocky and Cece decided they were too old to trick or treat, so they decided to, do a Maturoween, whatever. And Dina, Deuce's girlfriend, ended up joining them. But then and then while that was going on, what's his name? Cece's little brother. I don't remember his name now, but he had dared Ty and Deuce that he could outlast them at the haunted, or supposedly haunted house, because they thought he was too young to do this whole scary Halloween movie marathon, something that they were going to do. So he had dared them that he could outlast them in the haunted house. Deuce kept getting scared and over every little thing. Ty was not having it, but then at the apartment, Cece, Rocky, and Dina, and this little boy comes to them and says that he's lost and tells them his address, so they end up going to the same spooky house, and he looks really deathly pale, by the way. But uh, and then when they get there, he disappears, and then Cece points out his picture, which was actually which was supposed to be a boy who had went all psycho and killed his family, like 40 years ago or something. And then then they're all confused, and then all of a sudden he appears on the stairs, and they all scream, and then as everyone leaves, the Cece's brother turns around and thanks him for helping him, because apparently that's just his friend, and he wanted to help him scare them. But yeah, it was funny. um 6 horror stories and Halloween scares, Austin and Allie. So this one, the group gets locked in the music store, and so they decide on Halloween. So they decided to tell scary stories, and the entire episode they're making fun of Allie for not being scary, not being able to tell a scary story, this and that. But I actually liked some of these stories. I didn't care for the swamp monster story, but I liked the one about the teddy bear and the one about the ghost girl and ghost parents. Um, but yeah, I liked those two stories. But then at the end, Allie tried to scare them with the headless security guard, but they weren't buying it, and then they were making fun of her again. So she gets all mad and starts throwing things with her mind around, and they all started screaming, saying she's possessed, and then she got them to admit that they were terrified, and then she starts laughing. She was like, "Oh, I gotcha," and I won these scare-a-thon or something, and I was like, I just love that. someone who's not good at scaring everybody. Me, I'm great at scaring, and I can't be scared. Kind of like Maddie Rooney, which I think that's next. No, yes, that is next. So number 5, Haunted Rooney, Liv and Maddie. Um, uh, in this episode, Liv and Maddie had a few Halloween themed episodes. Most of them had to do with that like secret, like that one that had to do with the secret uh triplet. I'm not a big fan of that, but this one I love. I don't really care much for the Live and Hold the storyline with the crossover with Best Friends Whenever. I'm not a fan of that show anyways, and I don't really care about that part of the storyline. They go to this Halloween party in New York, I think, meet them, and then they're all starstruck, and then uh, this photographer gets a really bad picture of Liv or something, so they help her try to, I don't know, get it away from him. But the storyline I really care about is the seniors are supposed to prank the middle schoolers, and Liv and Maddie and Willow are all ready for that. And at the beginning, Maddie scares Johnny Nimbus online while he's live a couple times, and it was hilarious. And and then right after he vows to get revenge, and then right after apparently he died but because a porta potty fell on him. And uh and then they decide, and then Parker and his friend, I can't remember his name, the black little friend, not the redhead dorky guy, but uh they scare the two of them a couple times, and then all of a sudden, weird stuff start happening. Toilet paper falls down. And a bunch of weird stuff happens. They did this whole kind of like a Ouija board thing, but a little bit different, and it appeared to be working. But Maddie was the only one that wasn't believing it because she's Maddie. But then a porta potty comes all magically over towards them, and then Maddie starts getting scared like the rest of them. But then it turned out that it was, and then Johnny Nimbus comes out, his ghost, and but then it turns out it was just all a prank to scare Maddie, and it was funny. Uh, Number 4 is Terrifying Tri-State Trilogy of Terror. So probably isn't my favorite Halloween episode of Phineas and Ferb. It's probably second, because my favorite will be mentioned in honorable mentions. But the reason why I went with this one is because it's definitely more scary. The other one wasn't really scary at all. But this is a close second because I like scary things. But so 3 separate stories that's going on, Halloween themed stories, and then the first one is Candace. Uh, she decide to use spell to bring Ducky Momo to life, and doing it under a full moon will turn him evil. And then it appeared not to work, and then she's on the phone with Stacy a good portion of the thing, and the entire time Ducky Momo is kind of following her around, trying to get her attention, but stuff keeps happening, and then she finally realizes that something's there, and finds Ducky Momo, thinking Ducky Momo's evil. So she's running around the house, finding out that he wasn't evil, and that instead, because the moon was blocked when she did the spell, but then her teddy bear, I forgot what the teddy bear's name was, but did turn evil, and they screamed, and that's how that part of the episode ended. Um, and then the second part was with Doofusmers and Perry, and he wanted to get, apparently, if you catch the floating baby head, you can float it, giant floating, what did he say? What is it called? Giant floating something baby head. I don't remember. But you all know what I'm talking about if you've seen videos for that baby head that just floats around for no apparent reason that everyone gets confused about constantly. But uh so he ends up getting 3 wishes by capturing it, because he captured it. And but Perry kept messing up his wishes, and then at the end he messed up his last wish, and because he said, I wish to be the head of tri-state area, but then that turned him into a giant floating head. So that didn't work out very much for him. And then the last story was with Phineas and Ferb and their friends. Obviously, that's how it's gonna end with that group. Um, they were looking at a book of or not stories, but like, I don't know, spells or something, and it said that if you pour grape juice on a platypus, it'll create an evil clone. Buford, being Buford, decided to try it, and it worked. And then the clone used the grape juice to make even more clones and started terrorizing the town. And so they end up having to try to stop it because with water, because that soaks it up and whatever. And then they all die. Apparently, it's Phineas telling the group a scary story, and they're like, "Oh, that's too grim," and he was like, "Fine, I'll give you the Hollywood ending." So he's like, they miraculously found a way to defeat them. But yeah, I prefer the one where they all die. Don't get me wrong, I love these characters, but the grim stories are the best. Maybe I'm just weird. um. Number 3, The Tales of the Haunted Firehouse. So I didn't grow up on Jonas, but I decided to watch it earlier this year for the first time, and I think it was earlier this year, maybe it was last year, I don't know. But I was bored, and I was like, you know what, why not? And I actually liked it more than I thought I would. Um, but I really liked this episode, and I rewatched it, and I remembered how much I actually liked the episode. But Kevin's sure that the fire station was haunted, um, and no one else believes him. So they decide to and then all these strange things starts happening, and they start to believe him, and then the ghost wants to inhabit a body by midnight, and then Nick goes missing. So they have to find Nick before it's too late, but then it already was too late because the ghost had possessed Nick. And then he starts laughing and blew the cover because apparently it was just to get back at Kevin for stop talking about all this nonsense. And all of them were in on it, Nick, Joe, and Stella. And then all of a sudden they heard a scary deep voice, a menacing laughter, whatever. And they were like, "That's not us." So they end up running away screaming. But it turned out to be the dad and the little brother. Number 2, Halloween, Wizards of Waverly Place. Now they had a few Halloween themed episodes, I think. This one's probably the best. Uh, so their Halloween's haunted house sucks because they don't know how to be scary. I never understood that. Even if you were like a good, kind-hearted person, why do you have to be suck at being scary? Like Allie from Austin to Alley, Justin from Wizard of Place. I mean, really, it's annoying because I am a master scarer, and I'm also very kind-hearted and, all sweet and stuff. So that doesn't make any sense because I can be both. So why can't they? But anyways, so Alex suggests getting a couple ghosts for the haunted house, and but they decided that the ghost they had gone wasn't scary enough, so she ends up going back to get one of the the ghost that had scared Justin most of his life. And then he ended up doing this really scary face that ended up scaring the crap out of everyone, and they ended up getting their haunted house shut down anyways for being too uh, scary. So yeah, but it was just funny. Okay, so we're on honorable mentions. So Girl Meets Terror, Girl Meets World. They did one like that every season. Mutant Farm, they did one for that every season as well. For Ant Farm. The Wrath of Ruthless Ruth Tangled the series. One good scare ought to do you some good. Phineas and Ferb. And number 1, Ghost of 613, Sweet Lives and Cody, because there is no Halloween Disney Channel episode that will ever beat that one. Not in the past, not in the future, not in the present. That is the ultimate Halloween episode. Definitely. This episode is just so iconic. Uh, it starts with Zach scaring Cody because that wasn't hard, and so Zach ends up daring Cody to go in the haunted room of the hotel. And Cody obviously doesn't want to do it, but ends up agreeing with Maddie in London and Esteban. And then weird things happen, and they end up doing this seance to help the ghost go to the hereafter, and she ends up possessing Esteban, and then one by one, each one of them goes missing until it's just Zach, and then all of a sudden a bunch of ghosts are after him, and then they all flip over the sheets, and it's just them, and they scare the crap out of him with, and all the like door slamming, lights shutting on and off was because of Arwen. He rigged the room to do all that, which is hilarious. Uh, I just love how they all banded together to scare Zach for revenge, for all of his practical jokes and scaring Cody and them. And it was just awesome to watch Cody get Zach back because he had it coming, and I loved every minute of it. But that's just an iconic episode. Anyone who has seen these Disney Channel episodes will agree that no Disney Channel episode will ever beat this. I know one of my favorite YouTubers, Kayla McKillop. She did a video once on Halloween. I don't know. I think it might have been last year, and she did like top 10 Halloween themed Disney Channel episodes too. I don't remember what was on her list except that Ghost of 613 was her number one as well, because we can all agree that no Halloween episode will ever beat this episode. It's too purely amazing. There's my rant. I am finished. Please like and subscribe and comment your favorite Halloween themed Disney Channel episodes, and we'll chat below, and I'll talk to you guys later.